Sharp Game here, coming at you from ChooseYourRelationships.com. And a couple of weeks ago, I did a video talking about inside secrets of white women. And I got a couple of comments and a couple messages, and people wanted me to go a little bit deeper. And what I'm about to reveal to you, a lot of women, every woman can learn something from. Every woman, I believe every woman can learn something about white women, because they're very strategic for the most part, and they don't leave things by chance. You know, I might not necessarily agree the way they go about doing it, a lot of things, and I might not necessarily agree with what they do. However, I like their drive and determination and their desire. That's the thing that I like. I don't like when people, especially women, are passive aggressive. I don't like being around people that are passive aggressive. People that, they kind of sit around and kind of go with the flow when it comes to everything. And if something happens, then they want to do something about it. Then they're going to respond. I don't really like being around people like that. I don't really like being around women that's like that. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people like that in America, and a lot of black people, being that I'm black, I can speak on it. A lot of black people tend to be passive aggressive and very conservative. However, most white folks aren't like that. I think you would agree with that if you're listening to me right now, regardless of who you may be. Now, the thing you have to know about a lot of white women, and this is what I've learned over the years, and I know a lot of white women. I've met a lot of them over the past 20 years, from all walks of life, from the rich ones to the well-off ones to the poor ones to the hillbillies. I met a lot of them. But there's different types of white women. But the ones that are, I would say, that go off to college, and the one that you probably work with at your job, wherever you live in America, most of these women, more than likely, I would say at least 50% of these women, they probably settled with a guy. More than likely. See, a lot of white women have been known to settle with guys. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. What I'm saying is, a lot of white women rock with the guys that's willing to rock with them. The guy that comes along that wants to take care of them, or make a better life, or make a life with them. Sometimes most white women will rock with that. Now, and that's one of the secrets to relationships. You got to rock with the people that's willing to rock with you. Now, a lot of women, most women in America, I would say, don't really rock like that. See, most women in America want to be with the guys that don't want them. They want what they can't have, right? See, what white women try to do, some of them do it well, some of them don't do it do this so well. What I'm about to tell you, a lot of them will rock with the guy and have a family with the guy that want to rock with them, and they'll try and have a life on the side. So in essence, they'll try to live the double life, because what a lot of white women have figured out is you can't have everything or get everything out of one guy. That's a practical, logical way of thinking. Now, most women don't think like this. Most women are kind of delusional and very unreasonable, and they're not very practical. And they're kind of been reading too many novels and looking at too many movies. And there are some white women that are like that as well, delusional and unreasonable. But a lot of them might start off like that, start in the early 20s or whatever. But as they get older, in the 30s and 40s, and if they're still married or still living with a guy, they figured out that it's impossible for you to get everything you want out of one guy. So what a lot of these white women have done is created a life outside of the household. So in essence, they have a double life. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I'm saying that a lot of white women do this because they don't want to rip their families apart. Now, most women, non-white women, aren't thinking like this. They're thinking about themselves. They're not thinking about no family. They're not thinking about no kids. They're not thinking about no marriage. They're solely, completely thinking about themselves first in the marriage. Because a lot of women look at it like, first off, a lot of them get married for the wrong intentions anyway. So they're not really thinking about no kids. They're not thinking about their husband. They're not even thinking about their own family, their own parents half the time. They're thinking about them, and they're thinking about looking good, impressing people. That's all most married women think like this. It's silly, but it's true. Most married women I know, this is across the board, all they do most of the time is think about themselves. They don't really care about no family. They don't care about their husband. They don't care about the kids. They don't care about their parents. They don't care about the grandparents. They're all for self, for the most part. Now, most white women think a little bit differently. They think about, they look at the big picture, because they're playing for big stakes. They're looking at marriage like it's a business, and it is a business. And if you don't believe it, go down to your local courthouse, and those judges and district attorneys and everybody down there at the courthouse is cashing in. They're laughing all the way to the bank, and they're laughing at you, laughing at people that come up in the courtroom, and they're laughing on the way out because they're paying on the way out. They pay before they got there, and they paying on the way out. So they're laughing all the way to the bank. So white women, as you know, even if white women get married early and they're a little delusional and don't really understand what marriage is all about, I would say at least 50% of them will figure it out after a while that you can't get everything out of one guy. So what happens is either they have to make a decision after a while. Either they're gonna stay married and create another life outside of marriage and keep the family together and have maybe one or two guys on the side or something like that, or get a divorce and move on. It's either or. I mean, you know, but a lot of white women I know, they knew before they got into marriage that they needed more than one guy. They knew it. Because they didn't have to say it to me directly. I just could tell by their demeanor and the way they was talking. And, you know, they were like one chick. I remember one white woman told me one time, she was like, I'm getting married tomorrow, so I'm coming out here. I'm wilding out. This is my last night until it's time for me to, until tomorrow. And then after, because she said after tomorrow, I got to chill out for a while, maybe a month or two, and then I'll get back out here and, you know, do my thing. So the way she was talking, I mean, I talked to her for about 2 to 3 hours that day. This was like on a football Sunday here where I live at. So she had it all mapped out, all planned out, man. You know, so a lot of white women know that they can't get everything out of one guy, so they plan in advance to have other guys on the side. It's like a double life, and a lot of times they're not hiding it. I mean, they let the guy know. Her husband knows. In most cases, her husband knows already. But nobody outside the family knows. The kids don't know, and the parents don't know on either side. But because it's just between them two, you know. But a lot of other women, see, they put a lot of really mixed messages out in the media saying that all marriage is basically supposed to be one way. But it's just not like that. That's the perception of marriage is, if you get married, you're supposed to be with one person for the rest of your life. But it's just not like that. And if you can't stay with one woman for the rest of your life, then they say, oh, you need to grow up, you're immature. I disagree with that. But what I always say to people, the person that helped you get married, the pastor or the judge or however you got married, they're not living like that. They don't even think like that. But they're getting paid to give you the impression that they're living like that. So my question to you is, why is that? And so why most white women think differently than the average woman? Why is that? You tell me. Why is a lot of information so secretive? And other women kind of in the cloud don't really know what's going on. That's just something to think about. So a lot of women, a lot of white women, will settle with the provider, the guy as a provider. They'll marry him and still have her cake and eat it too on the side. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. The point I'm trying to make is the average white woman that I've met over the years, they see things the way it is when it comes to guys. The average non-white woman thinks that she can get everything out of one guy. They say a lot of things that's just not practical, kind of illogical. They say stuff like this: if you love me, you would be faithful to me, regardless. Doesn't matter how big I get, or how bad I start to look, or it doesn't matter how I probably not take care of myself the way I used to. If you love me, you would put up with it. I mean, that's how unreasonable, illogical that is. That's the shit that a lot of non-white women say. But I don't hear a lot of white women talking like that. This is the shit that's it's just not practical thinking. Not logical. And a lot of it just doesn't make any sense. This is why I say a lot of women can learn something from the white women. So if you like what you heard, subscribe to my channel. Go check out my blog, chooseyourrelationships.com. Until next time, Sharp Game is out. Peace.